Good morning. Welcome, everyone, to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Lakeland. My name is Helen Dingus. My pronouns are she and her, and today I'm serving this congregation as worship associate. In this sanctuary, in this sacred space, where no matter what our spiritual beliefs may be, we share joy by centering ourselves in love and embracing the 6 shared values of Unitarian Universalism. At its roots, the word religion means to bind together, and we are bound together by our values and the covenants we make about how to live those values. Living into our covenants is what makes us faithful UUs. Today, as we continue down our path of living love through the practice of freedom, we will explore the importance of our theological imaginations as we live into our shared UU value of transformation, which calls us to adapt to the changing world by covenanting to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Transformation calls us to remember that openness to change is fundamental to our Unitarian and Universalist heritages, never complete and never perfect. Thank you for joining us today. I will now make some announcements about what will be going on around here soon so that you can find the ways you want to live your UU values. I'm going to switch legs because I'm too tall for the mic if I stand on this thing.
So I won't fall off of it.
You want me to move it? Sure. All right, I'm going to move this thing.
Far enough.
Awesome. There we go. In order to build community, we need love plus connection, and that will lead to spiritual and ethical transformation. This is your community, so we ask that you please be an active part of it by joining us in the following activities and events. Thursday, July 17th, there will be a Bring Your Own Lunch Interfaith Coalition of Polk County meeting at noon at Christ the King Episcopal Church. Since Heather is on vacation, it would be nice to have somebody representing UUCL there. If you are interested, please reach out to Jen Dean. Jen is at the back of the room right now with the blue hair. Wednesday, July 23rd, the Interfaith Coalition of Polk County will be having a Friends of Faith potluck at 6:30 p.m. at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on Lakeland Highlands Road. We'd love to have a group from UUCL there, so please let Sherry Kent, there's Sherry, know if you are interested in taking a dish and attending so that she can send in an RSVP. And please, if you want to do any of these things and you don't have contact information for either of those people, then find somebody with a directory and we can help you. Next Sunday, our own Crystal Norman will explore spiritual freedom and our birthright to religious freedom in Unitarian Universalism. And I hope that you will be there, here. Today is our monthly second Sunday potluck. And even if you didn't bring anything, feel free to partake and join in fellowship and food because there's always plenty. after the potluck, there will be a board meeting. And the board meeting is always open to the public. So anyone who would like to stay and witness the mysterious inner workings of church governance is welcome. On the podium back there where Sherry is standing at the back of the center chairs, Sherry has put together a survey of fairly personal information, but she wants to assure you that your answers to that survey will be kept confidential, although your contact information, if we don't have it correct, might get entered into that software. This is a survey of your personal needs and haves and locations, so that if somebody needs something or a hurricane comes or any of those things happen, we have a more complete understanding of our community and its needs and what we can do for each other. So if you'd grab a survey on your way out and fill it out, and then you can bring it back and drop it off for Sherry. There is a social justice mailbox in the group of boxes next to the office door in the kitchen. And now Petra is going to present us with something that Heather wrote for us.
All right, you should, everyone, have an insert in your little order of service today. Some people didn't seem to understand what it was about last week, so I'm going to read it this morning so you don't have to. How about that? But I hope you do, because this was left by Heather before she went away for the month of July. It is a simple guide for the summer, which she says that she would like for us to read. And here's what she says. This is her easy summer guide to stay in covenant and to keep being the fantastic community that you are. Center yourself in love. Love is a spiritual discipline. Ask yourself each day or each morning before you go to UUCL, what is the best way for me to stay centered in love today? What loving mantra can I use when I feel I might be going astray? Interdependence. Is there a relationship between me and someone else in the congregation that needs repair? How can I begin that healing this month? Pluralism. How will I stay out of judgment and remain curious so that I learn from others this month? What did I learn from others that was surprising and brought joy to my life? Justice. When making decisions at church, have I included everyone that my decision may affect? Have I asked others for their thoughts? How can I notice the joyful feeling that including others brings to me? Equity. Do I see the inherent dignity and worthiness in the person right in front of me? How can I feel that deeply and spiritually within my heart? Generosity. Am I showing gratitude for the contributions of others? How can I let them know they brought me joy? Am I contributing my time and attention to UUCL to keep our community joyful, hopeful, and loving during the summer months? Transformation. Am I open to the changes that are arising before me at UUCL this month? Can I simply just relax and accept them? Try them out? How can I co-create with those changes to bring more joy? I look forward to hearing about your summer at UCL when I return in August. You should also know, while July is my totally work-free vacation time, I will also be taking the first couple weeks of August as a study and planning sabbatical. The board will be working with me to focus my topic of study so as to best support the continued spiritual growth of UUCL. Have a wonderful July, she says, in faith, Heather. It's fun when I only have to read other people's words and I didn't have to write them myself. So please check the back of your order of service and our e-newsletter, which can help you know how you can contribute this community. And so I would like now to create our sacred space by lighting our chalice. Calliope, I hear you're going to light our chalice for us. Would you do that, please? Whoops. There you go.
Good job, Callie.
All right. Thank you so much. Notice now this flame, seemingly so singular, flickering, unfettered, dancing all alone. Yet pull back, look with more attentive eyes, and slowly the chalice cup comes into view. And the air, while unseen, keeps the flame alive. All of it a reminder that being lovingly surrounded and beautifully bound is what sets us free. May this be the gift of our precious hour. May we too pull back and see ourselves anew. How tenderly tethered we've become, and how wonderfully that has set us free. If you'll rise in spirit or body now and join me in singing Spirit of Life. So this brings us to our message for all ages. If anyone wants to come up here and get closer to look at pictures, or you can look at the ones up there. going to read a book entitled After the Fall. Can anybody guess who this book is about? Yes, it certainly is. He's sitting up there on his wall, isn't he? All right, well, let's see what we've got here. How Humpty Dumpty Got Back Up Again. That's the full title. My name is Humpty Dumpty. This was my favorite spot, high up on the wall. I know it's an odd place for an egg to be, but I love being close to the birds. Then, one day, I fell off. I'm sort of famous for that part. Folks called it the Great Fall, which sounds a little grand. It was just an accident, but it changed my life. Fortunately, all the king's men managed to put me back together. Well, most of me. There were some parts that couldn't be healed with bandages and glue. Where's he lying? He's lying on the floor, right? He's got a perfectly good bed up those steps. After that day, I became afraid of heights. I was so scared that it kept me from enjoying some of my favorite things. What's his favorite things? Anybody got an idea? Some stuff up here. Maybe way far away from where he is. Like, a free toy. Crunch Tiger. Those are all cereals, but he couldn't get to these up here, so he was stuck with leaves and fiber flakes and blah. That's what it says in the book. Okay. I walked past this wall every day, and I'd think about climbing that ladder again. I really missed the birds and being high above the city, but I could never do it because I knew that accidents can happen. So I eventually settled for watching the birds from the ground. I think that's supposed to be the egg wearing a hat and using binoculars, I'm not sure. It wasn't the same, but it was better than nothing. And one day, an idea flew by. Do you see the idea? Whoops, that's it, right there. That's a very important part, that idea. Yeah, you'll see why. Here it is. That's the idea that flew by. Making planes was harder than I thought. See, the plane flew by, and he's going to make a paper airplane now. It was easy to get cuts and scratches. Anybody had a paper cut? Yeah, it hurts. Doesn't bleed much, but it hurts. But day after day, I kept trying and trying till I got it just right. Look what his paper airplane looks like. What does that look like? It does, doesn't it? How about that? My plane was perfect, and it flew like nothing could stop it. I hadn't felt that happy in a long time. It wasn't the same as being up in the sky with the birds, but it was close enough. He was flying his bird plane all over the place. Unfortunately, accidents happen. They always do. What happened? Can anybody tell what happened? You think it's going to run into a train track. You think it's going to go over this wall. See, this is the ladder going up the wall. It's hard to, there, how's that? That's better now. You can tell it's a ladder going up a wall. A road. Oh. Well, let's see. Okay. I almost walked away again, but then I thought about all the time I'd spent working on my plane and all the other things I'd missed. I decided I was going to climb that wall. But the higher I got, the more nervous I felt. I didn't want to admit it. I was terrified. I didn't look up. I didn't look down. I just kept climbing. One step at a time. Until I was no longer afraid. Look at him. He's up on the wall. He's at the top. He made it to the top. And I'm going to turn the page. Maybe now you won't think of me as that egg who was famous for falling. Look what's happening to him. He's got cracks. Well, what are his? What is that? Feathers? Are those feathers? Hopefully you'll remember me as the egg who got back up. Look at him now. He's got more feathers, doesn't he? You think so? A bird egg? And flew. He got back up and flew. He did. He turned into a bird. And he flew away. Yeah. He learned to fly. See that? There's all of his clothes and all the pieces of shell. And he is flying away. And the egg hatched. Very good. Very good analogy. All right. Well, now that I have done that, I think that you're going to go out with Miss Melissa. After they put stones in the water, by all means. Yes, indeedy do. I guess we didn't have this book, or we did. Did you look? At that? Okay.
Catherine, would you light our healing candle for us, please? We come with hearts full of gratitude for the gift of health. We ask for loving kindness to envelop us, nurturing our bodies and spirits. does get stuck. May compassion guide our actions, helping us to care for ourselves and others with tenderness. May we be granted strength and resilience that we may flourish in love. Amen. Our ritual of the sharings of joys, concerns, and sorrows embodies the belief that through connecting our lives, our freedoms expand. This is because the act of gathering, of sharing, of deeply connecting gives us courage. And in this world in which we must navigate many joys and sorrows, it is the courage we give one another that sets us free from the weight of being lost and alone. In our Joys and Sorrows book, you are able to write any significant joy or sorrow occurring in your life that you would like for the congregation to know. Today, we have a note from Crystal that she left last week. Thank you, Petra, from Crystal, enjoying Vero Beach. I can read, really. Tim tells us, I ran into an old friend I hadn't seen in 5 years and got to spend time catching up. We were dance partners, and we'll start dancing again. Tim, that's wonderful, Tim. Jacob says, sadly, this week, I have a sorrow. My mother recently had a tree fall on her new home, causing over $50,000 in damage. Please keep her in your prayers. We're so sorry to hear that, Jacob. You are invited now to come forward for our ritual of joys and sorrows. You may take whichever stone or stones feels right to you and drop it in the bowl, connecting to others, feeling the power of being together in this community. put another stone in for anyone joining us online. We want you to know if you're joining us on Zoom or Facebook or YouTube or watching us later, that we see you as part of our community, and we hope that you see us as your community as well. Here we gather, tucked back in this friendly neighborhood between the beautiful tall pines. We are a community of people who have arrived from many different paths, yet we seek a common goal: to bring more love to a hurting but beautiful world. We do this by building our UUCL community with our time, talents, and treasures. Our shared UU value of generosity calls us to covenant with one another that we freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources so that the dream of beloved community becomes a reality. Please help us grow into our dreams as our ushers pass the plate for our collection.
Thank you. We're going into a meditation now that was written by Reverend Beckett Coppola. It is entitled Letting Go of Certainty. Let go of the idea that you know what breathing should feel like. Just notice the breath as it moves in and out of the body. Let go of certainty. Be with the breath as it is. Allow openness. Allow curiosity. Notice the mind. Each thought that arises, allow openness. Don't judge your mind or your experience. Be loving in your curiosity about each thought. Let go of certainty. Let go of any idea about what you should be thinking, accepting your thoughts exactly as they are. Be with yourself as you are. Be curious about who you are. Love how you are in the world. Gently take a deep breath, maybe even a big sigh. Re-enter the present moment and the stream of your life. And now, if you'll join with me in singing hymn number 1059, May Your Life Be As a Song. The slides are on the screens.
It goes like this.
May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the line, and softly serenade the stars. Thank you. Thank you all. The message for today is entitled The Second Attempt, also by Reverend Beckett Coppola. It was originally delivered September 6, 2020 at Kingston Unitarian Fellowship in Kingston, Ontario. On Saturday, May 10th, 2014, a few close family and friends gathered with me in my apartment in Boulder, Colorado, for lunch, before we all headed off to my afternoon graduation ceremony. When we arrived at the large auditorium at the University of Colorado that Naropa University rents each May for its graduation, we found ourselves navigating all the event details of parking and lines and tickets, this time made much bigger in the presence of a celebrity. Well, a celebrity among Buddhist and meditation teachers anyway. My guests were able to head into the auditorium and find seats for themselves, but the other graduates and I were lined up in the exceptionally hot basement corridors. Eventually, we were filed into the auditorium, coordinated into our carefully numbered seats, and the ceremony began. The room was packed. In reality, it was overpacked because there were people standing along the walls. The many doors to the auditorium were open to the outdoors to help with the heat, and through them you could see people gathered outside, everyone trying to listen while inconspicuously peeping into the room. You see, that year, the commencement speaker was Pema Padron. If you don't know her name, it's probably because I pronounced it incorrectly. It's Pema Chadron. My good luck was graduating. If you don't know her name, I will simply say that she is one of the best-known Buddhist teachers in the world, and she has many talks posted online. My good luck was graduating with a Master of Divinity the same year as her granddaughter completed her undergraduate program at Naropa University. Serendipity in action. When it was her turn to speak, the diminutive and elderly nun walked to the podium, stepped onto a small riser, and she began her talk, but casually. She had us laughing and clapping, and slowly she drew us in moment by moment. A few minutes into this particular talk, which was to be a great deal shorter than her usual, at only 20 minutes, she shared a quote from Samuel Beckett. And immediately after she says Beckett's name, there were 2 or 3 people clapping in the audience, which she makes a joke about because she obviously was not expecting applause at that particular moment. One of those sets of clapping hands was definitely me, and another was most likely my mother up in the balcony. You see, I was named for Samuel Beckett, or more accurately, nicknamed for him, and as a result, I have always had a soft spot for the existentialist's blunt realism, bleak sharpness, and in Beckett's case, the minimalist and absurdist use of words. The quote that Anipema then paraphrased was, "Fail. Fail again. Fail better." This is one of my favorite quotes from the Irish playwright I was named for, partly because of how it pokes at cultural conditioning around shame and blame, as well as tearing at our ideas of failure. And most likely because it is something that I, who will always and forevermore be a recovering perfectionist, need to hear repeatedly. She then said, "If there's one skill that is not stressed very much, but is really needed, it's learning how to fail." We don't get a lot of preparation to have things not work out the way we want in our lives, if we're lucky. And these events are too often interpreted by ourselves and others as failures. Anipema talked about the ending of her 2 marriages and divorce, and about all the other things that could be seen as failure. And yet, Her life brought her to deep spiritual practices that continue to work within her. One of the benefits of spiritual practice is that it prepares us to be present and to sit with, without fighting, the current moment. The many varieties of practice give us the resilience and perspective to keep moving forward through our one wild and precious life, to invoke Mary Oliver. A resilience and perspective that lift us out of being frozen by shame, by blame, and the incredible pain of feeling that we are defined by our failures, mistakes, and defeats. Practices that can include writing, meditating, yoga, coming to Sunday services, and so much more. So, how do we get to the place where an individual failure, mistake, mishap, lost opportunity doesn't become how we define ourselves, doesn't become attached to our understanding of identity? Cognitively, we know that our failures do not define who or what we are. My failures don't define who or what I am. I know this. But for some reason, I don't always believe it. My failed relationships didn't make me a failure. My stumbles in the livelihoods that led me to ministry are not failures in business. The 2 C's of my undergraduate career weren't failures. And being laid off in the middle of a recession wasn't a failure. None of these life events define me. They're not part of my identity, and they shouldn't impact my understanding of myself. It took me time to get through each of these and then to get to this understanding, because I had internalized this idea of failure as being a terminus rather than a passage through. In her talk, Annie Pema also paraphrased a quote from James Joyce: "Mistakes are the portal to creativity." And so I engage with my spiritual practices and persevere. And I am always looking for the portal to creativity and learning through the curricula of my life. My failed careers led me to ministry. My failed relationships released me into a life I could not have dreamed up for myself. My C's helped me understand what I did and didn't want to do with my time, and being laid off allowed me the time to go wandering in search of my soul, only to find myself in divinity school in Boulder, Colorado, a long ways away from my hometown of Boston. Ultimately, where Annie Pema's talk took me when I listened to it again, and as I explored the idea of freedom within Unitarian Universalism's history, is this: a failure is a lack of success or a mistake, or a moment when you simply missed the mark. You were holding a bow out before you and drawing the bowstring back with an arrow carefully notched and aimed, only to release and have the arrow miss the target. This is the literal translation of the Hebrew word rit, to miss the mark. The word it is translated to in English is sin. Allow me to repeat that for those who have not heard this before. Sin is simply missing the mark. It's simply not hitting the target. And when it happens, you pick up another arrow, notch, aim as you pull back the bowstring, and you release the new arrow. Our culture has grossly misinterpreted the term ret and has turned what could have been a beautiful teaching tool into a tool for both mistreating ourselves and mistreating others. A culture dedicated to shame, God bless you, I think, and retribution as means of power and control is going to have a very hard time letting go of the idea that power and control are illusions. Unitarian Universalism looks to the world's wisdom traditions for guidance, including the wisdom traditions that are found in our immediate history. The 2 Christian traditions of Unitarianism and Universalism, and ultimately the Abrahamic traditions of which they are a part. How different could our world be if we were to understand sin as missing a target? Could each miss simply be an opportunity to begin again? Perhaps even a portal to creativity. The full Beckett quote that Anupema had paraphrased that hot day in 2014 was from his 1983 prose poem, Worst Word Ho. He wrote, "Ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, fail again, fail better. Ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, fail again, fail better." The full quote, extracted from its poetic existentialist context, is a truly fabulous teaching. There is a ridiculousness created in this repeated usage of the word fail, almost as if Beckett was intentionally invoking semantic satiation in his reader, or in himself. But this is where Beckett is pushing us to go. He is compelling us to open the portal to creativity, to let go of this meaningless word, to try again, and to make our next failure even better. Granted, he offered us this wisdom within a linguistically desolate and plotless frame, exploring the suffering of human existence. I read it is. But the intentional use of a word that would cause shock to his reader is important to note. How often do you hear someone say, fail, fail again, fail better? Aside from Beckett, I never had heard it. Until I was sitting in that auditorium for my graduation at Naropa University, thanks to the theme of Anupema's talk, an address which eventually became her next book, Fail, Fail Again, Fail Better, Wise Advice for Leaning into the Unknown. And a book certainly wasn't what she was expecting out of the offering, the commencement address at her granddaughter's graduation from Naropa, and nor were any of we. And isn't that how life unfolds? We step out into the unknown, unsure of our efforts, if they will bear fruit. Yet when we grant ourselves permission to simply try, supported by those around us who cheer us on with their own permission to try, everything is changed. We can start again and try again and return again until we have failed better, or perhaps even succeeded, whatever that means. Imagine what the world might look like if this was our cultural norm. Imagine what kind of change, what kind of promise, and what kind of hope would surround us if we created a culture where this was the norm. What kind of hope could we offer to each other, to ourselves, and to the entire world from within this teaching inspired by the roots of our free faith? A 20th century playwright and a 21st century Buddhist nun. When we miss the mark, we try again, and we can accept each attempt exactly as it is. A culture where our work does not need to be perfect and where we could instead focus on living authentically and wholeheartedly without worrying that we will be defined by our failures, by ourselves or anyone else, would benefit us all and take us one step closer to the world we are helping to build, a world of creativity, of hope, and yes, of freedom. As Reverend Ford Coppola wrote in today's meditation, be curious about who you are. Love how you are in the world. May we all find our way to living authentically, to living wholeheartedly, and to a life free from being defined by what others might call a failure. May we all have permission today and in all days to pass through the portal of creativity and try again. And may we extend compassion, understanding, and forgiveness to one another, remembering always to remake our promises and renew our commitments at the close of every day. Hare Om Shanti. Shalom. Peace. Blessed be. And now, if you will rise in body and spirit, we will have the closing hymn, number 168. guess. One more step. Do we have slides? One more step, we will take one more step to produce peaceful health in everyone. Take one more step. One more word, we will say one more word. Till there is good in everyone. Take one more step. One more step, we will say one more step. Till there is good in everyone. Take one more step. One more song, take one more song. Till there is song in everyone. Sing one more song. Okay, so that didn't exactly match what we were singing because it didn't move forward, but at any rate.
Thank you, Ben.
That's okay. Let's join me as we extinguish our chalice. And who's going to do that?
Would you like to have do that?
Why don't you do that, Jen? Please join me as we do. Jen does extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the real world. All right, let us go have potluck in this social hall. And remember, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are a blessing.